Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to my show, High Road to Humanity. In every episode, I tell you powerful true stories filled with great wisdom that you can use in your own life as you strive for a higher road to travel. My featured guests will have their own unique stories to tell that enlighten your mind and your soul. So kick back, relax, and learn the secret to success when you take the high road.
First touch, strong connection, it lays deep in your soul.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And I have a fabulous lady here today. Kanchan is here, and welcome to High Road to Humanity.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for having me. It's such a delight to be here with you.
I'm excited you're here. You guys, this is a show you're going to want to share. It's called Leaving, her book. She's just written How I Set Myself Free from an Abusive Marriage. And gosh knows, everybody probably knows somebody or possibly has been in this situation. And she's written this amazing book, and I'm just thrilled that she's here. She's an Indian American. She is a first-time author, and she holds a master's degree in social work and a certificate in life coaching. She's also a certified business coach. She's being a successful human resource professional. Her expertise is in training and mentoring. She is a certified advocate speaker and coach for victims and survivors of domestic violence. And her website, you guys, is, I'm going to spell this for you so you can find it. So it's KANCHANBHASKAR.com. And I'm just thrilled you're here today because there's a lot of domestic violence going on in the world. And we were talking before the show, and I want you to tell your story. And I guess my first question, and if you want to just talk about what happened to you, this was an arranged marriage. You were telling me before the show that this is something that was common in India for a while. It still is, but it's starting to relax a little bit. But tell your story. What happened to you? It was 1980, I think. Was it 80 when you got married?
Right.
Tell us what happened. You were so excited. You were getting married, and he was handsome too, right?
Right. And,
Okay.
that was like my dream that a Prince Charming will come and, take me off my, feet and take me into the clouds and, things like how we dream and we have our. So
Yes.
growing up, I was into Mills and Bones and Barbara Cartland, all those romantic novels that I used to
Oh,
read. So it was like, I had the same dreams as anybody would have it. Any girl, growing up girl would have it. And then I found myself in an arranged marriage to a social charmer, very bright person. And I thought, wow, my dreams are going to come true. But perhaps my husband would not agree with my perceptions of a woman is to be respected and there needs to be a partnership between a man and a woman, because that's what I saw in my own house while growing up. My parents were true partners with each other. My dad, cherished my mom, and they had a lovely, blissful relationship with each other.
yeah.
So that is what I thought a marriage is going to be for me too. But then, like I said, he had a totally different viewpoint of a marriage. And as soon as we got married, I figured that he was a narcissist, a violent alcoholic, and a very angry man.
Well,
And
I just want to back up a little bit because I love how you do your book. She breaks it down by years. And I want to talk about this because you're all dressed up. You came from, now I just want to make sure I'm correct. Did you come from New Delhi?
yes,
Okay, so you were in kind of more of a city. And then
yes,
he takes you to where he's from, and it's Nandoli, is that right?
yes, Nandoli.
Okay. And talk about, I mean, it was a shock for you, culturally, really.
Right. It was because, like I said, I was grown up in a very, very cosmopolitan city. India, New Delhi is the capital of India. So it has got all I would say educated class of people a lot. And the cities are very well structured and very well done. And we have the latest fashion and whatnot there,
Right.
and
The latest and greatest.
Yeah, and
Okay.
all the good universities are there. I studied in Delhi University, which is supposed to be the most premium university, and we used to go in university buses, and the girls and boys, and so all that fun. And I was
Yeah.
a very fun-loving girl. In the evenings we would sit in coffee houses and chat with each other, and all that was coming up when I was growing up.
Right.
And yeah, and then I get married, thinking that he'll have the same kind of viewpoint, because his parents lived in also in New Delhi, but it's not part of the New Delhi that I was in. They were a little bit into more old Delhi
Gotcha.
kind of a place. But my husband lived away from the family for almost previous 7 years or so, because he was working in a very, very small town. He called it town, but I would call it a village, because when I went there, it was a very, very typical uh, village, in the sense of there were no good shops, or
Mm.
even grocery shops, and there were small lanes, brick laid little streets were there, and you could see the animals tied outside their houses, and cattle was there, and
Yeah, and it was crazy what I thought. Well, you said they bathed in the street a lot of times, and that was a really interesting. I don't know why we're freezing here today on my show. There we go. We came back. But I don't know what's happening. It says my internet's unstable today. I don't know what's going on. We're not having a storm or anything. But you talk about this because it was almost like it almost sounds like it was third world country to what you were used to.
right. Yes, it
Yeah.
almost seemed like that to me, and I was never told that it's going to be like that. I was told that he lived close to a city, Udaipur, which is a very famous tourist spot. It's like Venus, I would say. It's like a very known tourist spot where even people from America and England and
Everybody goes
other
to.
countries, they come and visit that place. It's a city of lakes, they call it. So it was like he lives very close to that, but then I didn't know very close to that would mean 70 miles away in a very, very small town, a small village, I would say.
Right.
Yeah, so I was surprised. I did not get into a shock, only because I was so much into the thing of getting newly wed
Yeah.
with my husband, and like I did not let that affect me at all.
Right. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So you start to get sick and you realize, or the lady or the neighbor or somebody says, "Oh, she's pregnant."
Right.
Tell what happens.
Yeah, so we had a festival of Holi, Colors Festival, which now people also know here in America. They started to celebrate Festival of Colors, like you throw
Mhm.
colors on each other and, all that fun. So
Oh,
it was that festival, and I went out with my husband at the time, and, we were all in the community and putting colors on each other, and I started to feel very dizzy and nauseated. I came back home and I lied down, and then this neighbor woman came in and she said, "What's going on?" And I told her what my symptoms were. And she smiled and she looked at my husband and said, "Oh, it seems that she's pregnant." I
mhm.
looked at his face, but he did not give any reaction. And I thought maybe, he's just listening it first time and is shocked or whatever. So I just, said, okay, fine, because I was more concerned about my nausea at the time. Uh,
Mhm.
and then I slept. I think I slept for a while. And when I got up, I saw him sitting on the floor, his head rested with the wall, and he was totally boozed up. He had been drinking. And this was not the first time that I saw him drunk. It was already, he had started to show those signs to me even before that. This was the third month of my marriage, but even after 15 days, he had started to show those signs. So I do write all that in the book as to
Yeah.
what was the first incident and how it happened. But this was almost like a second or third big incident where, I turned myself and I looked at him, and he literally pulled me out of the bed and asked me to sit next to him on the floor. And I sat there. He could not talk. He was stuttering. He was like totally out because of the too much of alcohol that
He was
he had.
drunk. Yeah.
Yeah, he was drunk, and he started to pull me towards him, and he started to hit me in my stomach. And I said, "What are you doing? I mean, you know that I'm carrying this baby," but he would not listen. He would keep pulling me towards him, and he will keep hitting me in my stomach with his legs. And I kept my two hands on my belly, trying to save my fetus at the time.
Right.
And but no, he didn't bother, and I was not able to get up from there because I could not hold any furniture item or anything to just spring back. But I somehow managed to get up, and I ran into the bathroom and shut the door. And it was sad because I was bleeding. And then I was taken to the hospital with the same neighbor woman, and they put injections into me, and they said that the fetus is still there, but we want to stop the bleeding. And they kept me giving me the injections to hold that fetus in me for the next 2 days.
Then is it at that point that you went back to your parents?
Yes. I mean, I said that I want to go to Delhi and be with my parents and my family because I was really missing them. And I was just 23 years old. And I did not even know what was going on with me, like so soon I'm getting pregnant. What's going on? Like, I was totally perplexed. But he told me when he came to drop me on the bus station that you have to first go to my father's house. You cannot go to your parents' house.
Yeah, why? Why did he want you to go to his parents' house first?
So, Nancy, we have to understand the culture a little bit here, because in India, once a girl gets married, she is given to the in-laws. Like, this is now your responsibility. Our responsibility is over from today. And so it's a patriarch society in India. It's a
Okay.
Whereas in America, we see it's more like matriarch.
Yes. Yes. I understand. So even then, so I didn't realize that. So you're pretty much like their property.
Yes. And
Okay.
his brothers and sisters are now my brothers and sisters, and his father is my father. So
Okay.
it's different. It's very
Well,
different.
when you went there though, didn't you tell his parents what he did?
No, see, that is where I have now started to say, speak up, do not hide. You are not the guilty person, but that is who I was at that time. I hid it. I
Why?
hid it.
What were you afraid of?
So first thing, I did not want my parents to know, because my dad had minor heart attacks too already. And I did not want him to worry about me or get shocked as to why this with my daughter, because he loved me to death.
Yeah,
I
it
was
would
his
have
most
it would have
beloved
killed
child.
him. Yeah.
Yes. And that guilt I would have never survived in my life.
Oh my
So
gosh.
when I was traveling on the way, I thought about it. And I said, uh, I really do not know what my future is. I cannot decide right away that I'm not going back to him, or how things are going to shape up. So it's better that I go to his house for a couple of days and then go to my parents' house.
And that's
So
what you did.
that's what I did.
Then what happened when you got to your parents? Did you stay there for a while? Did you stay there during your pregnancy?
No, I stayed at that time just for 2 days. I think my father and mother, they were called, like, I wanted them to know that I've come to Delhi. And that was my first visit after my marriage. So my parents came to see me in the evening. And I told them that, I have this threatened abortion, they call it, because the fetus is still there and it's not yet out. So there's a threat of the fetus coming out. So I told them that happened. And they asked me, and I said, I just slipped, on the floor and all of that. And my dad was quiet. He knew, how parents have the intuition. And I was also sobbing a little, so they kind of knew that
They kind of knew what happened.
yeah. And so they sat there, and then my dad asked my brother-in-law to bring some bricks so that we could raise the bed from my legs upwards, so that, the flow was upwards and not downwards. So, he did a couple of things there, but it seems that they didn't like it, that who's he to come to our house and dictate to us and tell us what is to be done.
Oh, his parents didn't like that. I
Yes,
see. I
yeah,
see.
right.
I see.
But my dad said that I want to take her with me, but they said no. Even we have got doctors here, and we can look after her, so you don't need to take her with you. But after 2 days, I literally pleaded with my father-in-law, and I told him that I need to go to my parents, because I'll be more comfortable there, and I'm not very comfortable here. So he said, okay, then that time he agreed, and then I went to my parents' house, and I
Okay.
was there, and the whole checkup and everything happened, and the doctor said it has to be a bed rest for 9 months, and
Wow.
I lived there for that time period.
So when the baby was born, and his name is VJ, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he come when the baby was born?
Yes.
He did.
Yes. He came, he took transfer to New Delhi by that time, because he came, in fact, when I went there and I went to my parents' house, he came there within a month's time. And he typically, every classic case is very manipulative. That's what they do. He fell into my feet. He cried, like a baby. And he kept saying, pardon me, excuse me, I will never do that. I cannot live without you. I have nobody in my life. And you know how it is a typical situation.
Sure.
And the girls, the women, just some compassion comes from somewhere, and you feel, okay, let me give him one more chance. And at that time, since I was pregnant with his child, I thought, okay, fine, maybe he's right. He's saying that he will change, so maybe he's not used to drinking, maybe he drank too much.
Yeah.
How I kept giving excuses for from his side.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
and he was a charmer, so he charmed your parents.
He charmed my parents, he charmed the whole world outside. Everybody thought that he was a very nice guy, he was a very bright guy. So in a way, I was always worried that nobody is going to believe me.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing. You didn't even know what a narcissist was.
Right.
You know what surprised me, and not surprised me, but I guess stuck out, is you always felt like, you said this in the book, every time you went back with him, you felt like you were at home. So there was this attachment, regardless of what he did. And that's what happens with narcissistic relationships. I've been in one myself, so I can vouch for you. It's weird. It's almost like, I don't know if it's an energetic thing. Talk about that a minute, because like, you just felt like you weren't home unless you were with him, even though he was the abusive one.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the whole attraction started when I was getting married to him, because I did not have any relationship with any man before that. So this was the first man in my life. And like, I had waited for this moment to come into my life. So I was falling in love with him during that courtship period of 6 months, that between the engagement and the marriage.
Right.
I was pretty much attached to him. And the first few days, he was like the best human being on the earth. And he was romantic, and he was nice, and he was charming me, and he was praising me, all kinds of things. So that was my first impression of him, which stayed with me for a very long time.
Yeah, and that's true. That happens. Even though he did all these things. So you eventually, I want to move forward a little bit, because you eventually go back and you move back in with him and try to get him. I know at one point you try to get him to take some anger management classes and things like that. Can you move forward a little bit? So tell the audience I don't want to tell the whole book, but
yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of detail. I just will say that you include in this, that I'm not including right now, but.
Right. So yes, when things were not changing and he would be in a good mood, I would always tell him that you need to go take a medical help, go to a psychiatrist, go to a medical doctor, go to a therapist, go to anger management. But he would not listen. He would always tell me that I needed to go to a
Yeah,
psychiatrist.
there's something
And
wrong with
he's a
you.
normal person.
Oh God. And there's something else that really struck me with your book. You really have a strong faith in the divine,
Yes.
in our creator. And that was surprised. I mean, that's what helped you through this.
Yes. Yes. My faith worked and pulled me out of that mess. Otherwise, it was not possible. I would have hanged myself by, if I had to continue to live with him.
Yeah.
But my faith in the universe and my faith in the higher power. So I was born and brought up in a very spiritual environment. We were not like religious, but more spiritual. We did not
Right.
follow any particular religion. And I carried that faith with me for many years. But after my marriage and with all the whole torment happening, I had just forgotten about it, I
Yeah.
was just thinking about survival at that moment.
Right.
But then eventually I started to build my faith back when I thought about escaping and, moving out of this place, that place. My faith in universe was very strong at that time. I thought universe is going to help me. And that higher power, I am his blessed child, and he is going to look after me. After every war, there is peace.
Right.
And after my torment, there will be some kind of a solace that will come to me. So I accepted that situation in the sense that not that I accepted that he could beat me every day, but I accepted that situation that it is going to be like this for a bit. But that does not mean that I have to be acting as a victim.
Right.
Let me stand up on my own 2 feet and start to work towards my escape and start to build those steps that will take me to my escape. So, because of my faith, I started to build more resilience into me. The mental resilience came in, my emotional well-being became better. I started to have belief in myself so that I could build my tenacity and the strength and, work towards getting out of that place along with my 3 children.
Yeah, you
Because
ended up having 2 more kids.
yes, the twins were born after my daughter. So the God said, okay, take more. Have 2 at a time. Look up.
Well, and I want to ask you something. So because this has happened to me, similar to, not everybody has their own story, but I planned. But as you were planning, I guess I'm just picking this up. So you were becoming stronger, but you weren't letting him see that, were you?
Letting him see that? Are you
That
saying
you were
that?
stronger? That you were
Yeah,
stronger? Oh,
yeah,
he did see
right.
you were stronger. Oh, he did.
Yeah, he was.
Oh,
Because I started to work, I became financially independent.
I know. Tell the audience
So,
what you did. Tell them.
so yeah, like I said, my faith in universe started to bring me angels and collaborators and mentors who would give me direction. So I had many of them come into my life and I would listen to them. I would take the challenge and say, okay, fine. I am going to become financially independent. That's the first step I need to do. That's what the lady told me just now. It was just like so strange that that would happen because so many people would tell me that and I would not listen. But then this particular person comes in the right time at the right place. And I feel that this is my angel sent by God himself.
Well,
So
yeah, wait a minute. So let's back up. So you're talking, you meet this lady, she's like a neighbor, right? I think I'm telling the proper thing. You meet her like in the elevator or something. And she
Yeah.
asks you where your husband is, because I caught this in the book. And you're like, well, I don't have one. And then you kind of just say you're not divorced. And then she looks at you, and I wrote this down, and she says something to the effect of, why haven't you let go of him and unburdened yourself?
Right. She said that to me. She says, why are you still talking about him?
Yeah.
Have you not forgotten that hell of a person? Why are you telling me about him? And I said, yeah, I've got 3 children from him. And she said, that was his role. And it was over after that. He was sent to be with you, to give you these 3 beautiful children, and his role was over. And it's over now. Don't even think about him. Don't talk about him. He's gone from your life.
And
So
that
those were
stuck.
the
It stuck.
people,
Yeah.
yeah, those were the people I thought were like angels, because their message it remained in my psyche, and I worked on those things then.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about how you ended up coming to the United States.
Yeah, so I started to build a ramp towards my freedom.
Okay.
The journey was slow but steady, and I had to live in that marriage for long because of various reasons. The law was not on my side in India. I could
You
not
couldn't
divorce him.
divorce. You couldn't divorce. No.
I could not divorce him.
Okay.
My children would have gone to him as
Oh,
under
he
his,
would have received the children.
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
There were ways for him to do that. And I
Okay.
was sure that he will do that. So
Okay.
that was not acceptable to me, that my children will go to him. Not even one of them can go to him, I thought. So
Mhm.
I had to be in that relation for very long. And as I was building these steps towards, on the ramp,
Mhm.
financial freedom, sent my children to boarding school. I didn't want them to be in that environment. I bought a house in my own name.
I know. I'm so proud of you.
And then
I did that too. It's freeing to know that you can do it on your own, isn't it?
right, is
I
so
know.
free.
I know. I love it.
And when still he did not change, then I thought, I have to run away from this country, far, far away, where he cannot see me.
Mhm.
And that is the time I started to plan to leave India.
And it took you a bit because it wasn't easy to get a visa.
That was one mistake, big mistake that I did, that I told him. And he started becoming a very good human being during that time.
Okay.
And he pleaded that I bring him with me.
Ah.
I thought about it, and then I thought, okay, fine. I'll buy a return ticket for him. Let him come with me. I'm going to a very strange place among strangers. I've never seen US before. So I brought him with me on a return ticket. And then, it was in a way good, because, there was so much to be done. I started to go to work the very next day. We had to have an apartment. We need to have a car. The children were to go to schools. So
Where'd you go? Where'd you end up? Where'd you end up?
Syracuse
Okay.
in New York, yeah. So after 2 months, I told him that, it's time for you to go. And he quietly went away. He went back.
Were you surprised?
No, because I knew that there was some trick involved here. He would not leave me like this, just like that. So after 3 months, there was a knock on the door, and I opened the door, and there he was. So he was
came back. He came back. He knew where you lived, so he could find you again.
Yeah.
Wow. And then what?
You are telling all my stories.
Okay, well, we can't. All right, then we're not going to tell anymore. She doesn't want to tell anymore, guys.
No, I'll tell the brief here.
All right. Well,
So,
you got to buy the book, or you're not going to know what happens. No, I'm just teasing.
yeah,
Go ahead.
So from a survivor, I did not stop there, because I had survived, but I had lost those 23 years. So I had to thrive and come up to the mark where I would have otherwise come to in life, So when I divorced at that time, I thought, no, now is my time to live life. And I started to build my life from the age of 22 years when I got married. And then, I took some more certificates. I became an advocate for the people of domestic violence. I
I know you
Actually,
went back to school. You went back to college. I want to say that. You went to
yes,
Syracuse University and you
to
got
do my
your,
MBA.
yeah,
Yeah,
you got your MBA. And I
true.
think that's really awesome. Now what's going on today? How's your life today?
I am thriving, Nancy. I am living life on my own terms. I am happiest person. I am free.
Yeah.
The children are so well settled in life. All the three,
Oh,
they are happy. They are married. I have a grandchild, 2 years old now, and life is so good. Life is good. I have a purpose in life. I wrote the book, and after this, I start to build like a coaching practice for the domestic violence people or people who are going through divorce and they do not know how to take the next steps,
right.
because I'm a live proof to them
It can be
how
done.
successful one can be. It is doable. Everything is
Yes.
doable. Only you
Yes.
have to have that mental resistance, mental resilience, and tenacity, and that
Well,
can be built.
yeah. And you loved yourself enough and you loved your
Yes,
kids.
right. Yeah,
And that's really what this is about. I mean, loving yourself enough and your kids to get yourself to plan, how can I get out of this bad situation? Because there's so many people who get themselves in these situations. And I just want to say something about narcissism real quick. I did a whole show. I don't know if you watched my video. I have a video just on narcissism
okay. Yeah,
because my mother was a narcissist. So then I married a narcissist, and you try to, yeah. And see, a lot of us have done these things
yeah,
and we don't realize until we get older, and then we start to see the pattern. And it takes time before you can even, I mean, it took a long time before you realize what this guy was,
right,
you
right.
know yeah, because you're young and you don't realize.
And precisely the reason, Nancy, that I haven't gotten into a relationship after that. I am so scared to get into, like, I'm ready. I'm good to have friends. I've got men colleagues at work. We go out for,
Oh,
eating
nice.
together, have a drink in the evening. But no, I never thought of living with
With
somebody.
somebody again. Isn't that interesting? Well, and let me ask you, gosh, do I even ask, how is VJ? Where is he now? Is he still in India?
Oh, we don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
Yeah,
So he didn't stay in contact with the kids or
no,
anything? No.
no.
And there was another thing that you said in your book that I thought was really important. You were really worried about your kids being affected psychologically.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit before we get out of here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. It is such a tragedy that the perpetrators do not think about the effect on their kids. What
Mm-hmm,
will happen with what they are doing?
mm-hmm,
The kids are so honest and such innocent souls that they are. When they see their mothers or, mother or father in some cases being hit, they want to help. They want to
mm-hmm.
help the abused, but they're helpless. They cannot do it. And that affects their psyche such a lot. They become insecure. They feel they are not good enough. They start to get into bad habits. They
Mm-hmm.
all these drugs and the alcohol and everything, it starts from there. And sometimes they carry that image that it's okay to beat. It's
Yeah,
fine, one can do that.
right.
And then they end up doing the same thing. So yes, children get very badly affected. They get depressed, they get sad, they are morose, they do not know what to do, and sometimes they are also uh, guilty in some sense, and also ashamed that they could not help, so their
Right.
whole psyche gets affected.
Mm-hmm.
uh, in my case, since I sent my children to boarding schools, that was
That was
one.
so fortunate that you were able to do that.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
And
just want to tell you, I think it's an amazing book, and I'm really glad you wrote it because you guys, if you know anybody who's in an abusive relationship, they should read this because it really shows what you went through. You give a lot of detail. So today you're coaching and you're helping people and you're working with, and you see a lot of this right now, I'm sure.
yes, and just to give a little uh, end to this whole book is that this book, my story, is full of hope, is full of desire. It is, yes, it is
Yes.
empowering, and at the end, it's full of, how you can transform yourself and come out of that victim mentality and become a survivor and a thriver. So that's the book about. And like I said, I'm have a purpose in life now, and I'm happy. I'm giving back to the community, and that keeps me going.
I'm so glad you're here. I love it. And you're in Chicago, is that right?
Yes, I'm.
I love that. I love it. So if people want to get in touch with you, how do they find you? Do you have a website?
Yes, I do
Okay.
have a website.
All
It's
right.
kanchanbhaskar.com. You spelled it for me
I
earlier.
did. I
I
did.
will spell it again.
Okay.
KANCHANBHASKAR.com. And you will find all the details there, brief of the book. There's an excerpt there. You will get all the social media links there, and all my, podcast and whatever I've done.
Fantastic. It was really well written. I want to say that to you. This was
Yeah.
really well written. I really got into it. I really thought it
Wow.
was really good. I
Thank
read a
you
lot
so
of
much.
books. Yeah, I read a lot of books, and I just thought, I mean, I felt like I was with you when, when I first started and you were getting married and you went through all this. You wrote it so that the person reading it was, really feeling like they went through this whole scenario with you. And I want to commend you because it's hard. A lot of people never make it out. And
Yeah.
God bless
Yeah.
for making it out and getting out of there and having a decent life, because we all deserve to have a good life. It's called Leaving: How I Set Myself Free from an Abusive Marriage, and it's by Kanchan Bhaskar. All right, you guys. This is Nancy. You're out. This is High Road to Humanity, and we're going to get out of here for today. Thanks for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy.
Okay. All right, you guys. Everyone take care. Have a great weekend, and God bless.